record this. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. I hope to deliver massive value for you guys. I have a lot to cover, but we are going to go over the 12 rules of cash and give you some strategies that you can use to help get more cash paying patients. So if you don't know who I am, I'm the owner and founder of Pursuit Physical Therapy. We're 100% cash-based practice. We're in Orlando, Florida. I have a staff of one front desk, or a concierge specialist is what I call her. And then we have 5 physical therapists on, and we're looking at scaling the cash-based model. I also own cashbasedphysicaltherapy.org, which is a consulting business where I help other PTs open cash practices or add cash services to their practice. So enough talking about me. I want to deliver massive value to you guys. So the main objectives for today is going to be, we're going to review the 12 cash-based rules or principles that will help you attract more cash-paying patients that I use still to this day. I'm going to give you real-life examples of what you can use. There's going to be plenty of time for questions and answers. I'll teach a certain section. You guys can comment in the chat box if you want to, or I'll give you time to answer or ask questions too. And then I'll help design an action plan for you so you can implement some of these strategies too. So the first question that I want to ask is, what are you willing to pay cash for? Because it's a simple question to think about what you value and certain things that you're willing to pay cash for, because not everyone values the same thing of what you value. For me, I'm willing to pay a lot of money or cash for a good pair of running shoes. I have very flat feet. So a good pair of running shoes, I'm willing to pay cash for. A good mattress, I'm willing, good quality sleep's essential and I value that. So I'm willing to pay a lot of money for a mattress. A good steak, a good piece of fish. There's different things that I value that you may not value, but I'm here to tell you that there are people out there that value healthcare and value the quality. And there are patients out there that are willing to pay cash for physical therapy services. Not everyone's going to value physical therapy or healthcare in general. Healthcare is another thing that I value. I'm willing to pay cash to go see the best expert in or out of state, wherever if myself or any of my family members need it. So healthcare is something else that I all value. But there are people out there that are willing to see or willing to pay cash for services. So at Pursuit, we see 3 main types of patients. Obviously, we see affluent or high performers. We see athletes. And then probably about 50 to 60% of our caseloads is complex cases that failed other treatments. So these are the 3 main niches that we see at Pursuit. Affluent and high performers, obviously people that have means, people who want the best and are willing to pay quality or cash for the quality of care. This can be CEOs, CEOs, lawyers, physicians, surgeons, business owners, dentists, real estate agents, contractors, venture capitalists, small business owners. Okay, this is one niche that does really well in cash. Obviously, the next one is athletes, anywhere from pro athletes to your weekend warriors. Athletes value the quality of care and are willing to pay cash to get back to the sport and get back to practice and get back to playing and competing again. Some of the niches that we've reached out to or kind of tapped into are golf, tennis, dance, baseball, pickleball, CrossFit, and runners. So athletes are another good niche that we do see here. Most of our caseload is complex cases that people have failed other treatments and are looking for a solution. Okay, this makes up probably 50 to 60% of our caseload. These are patients that say, I failed injections, I failed medications, I only had a temporary fix from my chiropractor. I tried physicians, they just want to put me on meds. I tried PT and it didn't work. I tried acupuncture, massage. They've seen multiple people and they don't know what to do. Okay, we see a lot of these types of cases. Some of the examples of what we've seen, scoliosis rods, status post, L4, S1 fusion with chronic pain, chronic headaches, chronic back pain, frozen shoulders, failed total hip replacements with still hip pain, chronic TMJ. I actually have a patient right now that has a T10 to S1 fusion with lower back pain, cervicogenic dizziness, patients that have multiple diagnoses, 10 out of 10 bilateral forearm pain. That turned out to be the worst trigger point for an everspinatus I've ever seen in my life, bilaterally. And then like status post fusions with still like radicular symptoms. So, The good news, I just want to give you some examples of what we see at Pursuit. But the good news is that the cash model works because our April 2026 stats, we had 143 leads. We had 70 evaluations that were willing to pay $220. We had 60 new patients, and we generated over $87,000 in 1 month of all cash sales. So it works. I'm going to prove it to you that there are patients out there that are willing to pay PT, and I'm going to show you strategies that we use to try to attract these patients. So let's get started. So the first rule, I'm going to go through 12 rules here. The first rule is stop marketing just physical therapy. Think bigger, okay? Now, we all know that we're at the bottom of the totem pole in healthcare, and we've kind of done this to ourselves to a point, but when people go through standard care and they're just referred out to PT, and the first thing you hear is, I have a script for physical therapy. And it's like, these people are already in this insurance mindset, but we're pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole regarding healthcare. And we just get kind of the leftovers, and our public perception is really bad still. Okay, where do personal trainers fit in? How about stretch zones, athletic trainers, massage therapists? We have to do a better job of working our way up the totem pole, and not just from a medical standpoint, but from a branding or from a marketing standpoint too. Because let's face it, we all are getting, every healthcare provider is getting crushed by insurance. We're just at the very bottom of this. Okay, and I used AI to make this, by the way. So if you're not using AI in your practice, you got to start doing it, because it makes things super, super efficient. And they, like, insurance companies even tried, replacing us. They did that Hinge Health. I forget which health insurance company it was, but they tried doing Hinge Health as, if you need back pain, if you have back pain, try this app and see if they could replace us with like technology, with like a simple app of doing some basic exercises, which failed, by the way. So, but this stuff is coming, and we need to make sure that we're ready for this. So the old strategies of PT marketing is just relying on physicians, and we get the leftovers of whatever's going through PT. But you don't want to, if you're selling cash-based services, you don't want to hear this, because this person went through the standard care and they're already in that insurance mindset. Do you guys remember this study from that Virginia Mason study that looked at the cost effectiveness of physical therapy? Why can't we do why can't we do the actual orange approach? Instead of someone who has back pain going to a primary care physician that tells them that they just have back pain, and then to go see a specialist, it's like, what's the point of the blue track? Yes, they're going to catch some medical red flags, but why can't we do the orange approach and market directly to the consumer? So I challenge you to think big, because the physical therapy market of people just searching for physical therapy is so small. And one of the things that we've done is we've tapped directly to the big market and marketed directly to the consumer. So they're not just searching for physical therapy. There's people actively searching online who are in pain. They're searching for a solution. Okay, not just waiting to go to standard healthcare, to go to primary care, to go get an MRI, and then to go to a specialist and then get referred to PT. There are people actively searching online for a solution right now for their pain. Right now, you can use the Google Keyword Planner or AI. There's 1,200 to 2,500 searches a month just for sciatica. What if I can tap into that market? There's people searching for a solution, for a specialist, for the best treatment, for anything regarding sciatica. Why can't I tap into that market and get a small percentage of this, and maybe even funnel them out and kind of attract people who want to pay cash? So a new strategy of what you have to start thinking is not just marketing physical therapy. Start tapping into what services are you providing that you can market. Dry needling, manual therapy, pelvic floor therapy, shockwave, sport therapy. There's people online searching for those keywords that if you offer those services, you can reach out and target. How about diagnosis-based therapy, Achilles tendinopathy, sciatica treatment, headache specialist, TMJ treatment. Go after those people who are searching online for services, trying to find a solution to their problem. How about complex cases? Look at searches for failed surgery cases, failed PT. People are searching in what to do if I failed chiropractic treatment, because we're trying to target complex cases, thoracic outlet syndrome, some of these diagnoses that are more complex, or even niches. If you have a niche market and you specialize in a certain type of niche, there's people out there searching for a tennis injury specialist or a tennis injury expert, a golf injury specialist. I just had someone from Atlanta call me today about a golf injury, getting back to rehab after a lumbar fusion, because he saw AI actually told him to call me, and he saw me in a YouTube video from Atlanta, Georgia. So, and another thing is regen medicine is coming. So we need to be, because this should be all up in our avenue with this. We should be the experts on this, because the future is going to be regen medicine plus physical therapy. And you're going to get a lot of people better, faster, quicker, and fewer sessions, which may be, and that's great for patient care, but that's going to be another business problem, where we're seeing now that patients that used to take 15 to 18 sessions to get better are getting better in 6 sessions now with shockwave therapy and a PRP injection. So regen medicine is coming, and I think we're the experts that need to be capitalizing on this. But that's something else to think ahead about. But when you're thinking about your local market and doing marketing, remember, there's a huge market outside of physical therapy. So don't limit yourself just to physical therapy marketing. Start reaching out to niches, services, diagnoses, and stuff like that, because there's a way bigger market out there than just marketing physical therapy. So stop selling for just the leftovers of standard healthcare and try to get more cash paying patients by, going directly to them, marketing to the consumer, and stop marketing just physical therapy, but more of think bigger, think outside the box. Don't just market physical therapy, because it's just a small market with this, versus if you start marketing stuff with some of those other examples, the market becomes bigger and you'll be able to capture or at least target some more cash paying patients that way. So does anyone have any questions really quick about that before I move on to the next rule at all? For some reason, it's not letting me give me my, oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to check the chat real quick, and you can post them here if you want. I'll check the chat. Okay. I just posted it in the chat. If anyone has a question, I'll just go back to that after each one. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Rule number 2, are you pistachio or vanilla? Okay. And this is asking, are you pistachio ice cream or vanilla ice cream? Vanilla ice cream appeals to the mass. Oh, sorry. Vanilla ice cream appeals to the masses. It's a crowd pleaser. It's safe. It's easy, comfortable. It's less fascinating. Pistachio ice cream is a distinct polarizing choice, and people who love it really, really, really love it. Okay. You need to stop being vanilla ice cream and appealing to the masses. And you want to be more pistachio to be able to attract more cash paying patients. So rather than dumbing down your taste to appeal to the majority, a producer can focus on serving a tightly defined core, quotes, someone who wants to pay cash for services, and a distinct point of difference. The goal of pistachio is not to please everyone. It's really to engage a few people really, really, really well. So you can't be having a vanilla service and marketing to cash-based patients. It's not going to work that way. Okay. You must highlight what makes you different. And this way, instead of trying to outdo your competition, you're going to focus on what makes you different and how you're different compared to the standard. Because cash-based physical therapy is more pistachio. Okay. You can't be vanilla marketing to the masses. Cash-based physical therapy is more pistachio ice cream, which I think pistachio ice cream is disgusting. I'm more of a cookies and cream guy, but if you want to get more cash paying patients, you have to stop trying to appeal to everyone and to the masses, and be more like pistachio ice cream. And it's just a simple concept regarding cash-based physical therapy, because a lot of people are in standard care clinics and they're running their business, but they're wondering why these patients aren't paying for cash services or don't see it. It's because your marketing may be getting to the masses and you're getting a huge influx of all these people coming in. But just remember, cash PT is more pistachio, and you need to have a select niche market, or your marketing needs to be a lot more specific and highlighting how you're different compared to the standard, because a lot of cash patients aren't going to pay for the standard stuff, but they're going to pay for the stuff that's kind of different. Okay, so the rule number 2 is, are you pistachio or vanilla? And remember, cash PT is more pistachio. Okay, let me do this. Good. I'm going to keep it going. There's nothing there. So this is one of the number 1 rules here. This is one of the most important ones. If your product or service is the same as your competition, it's a race to the bottom. What does that mean? So if you're trying to pay or trying to ask someone to pay for cash here, but they can get it for free here, they're always going to go for the free or the cheaper one. If your product or service is the same as your competition, it's a race to the bottom. So a perfect example here, a Yeti cooler or an Arctic cooler. They're the same coolers. Whatever one's cheaper, people are going to end up buying more. That's why Arctic's doing much better. It's the same cooler. When I was looking at building a fence in my backyard, you instantly are like, okay, what person can actually do this the cheapest? It's the same fence. You probably get it from the same distribution company. Who can do this the cheapest? Or if I'm setting up a water delivery service, it's just water. It's the same product. So my instant reaction is, who can do this the cheapest? But for physical therapy, if you're the same as everyone else, it's going to be a race to the bottom, and you're fighting an uphill battle trying to get cash services. So if you're the same as everyone else here, the patient's going to instantly think, who can fix my pain the cheapest, or whose PT is the cheapest, and they're going to go there. So when your product or service is the same as your competition, it's a race to the bottom. And your competition, again, think big. It's not just physical therapy. This is how I think. It's not just me versus standard physical therapy. It's me versus chiropractors. It's me versus physicians. And it's me versus surgeons. How's my service compared to all of healthcare? Okay, I have to show them that my services are superior than my competition, and my results are better. Okay, and even better, make your service so unique with massive value that there's nothing else to even compare it to. So how are you different compared to your competitors? How are you different compared to standard PT? How are you different compared to other physical therapists in your area? How different are you compared to standard healthcare? So if you haven't read this book yet, this book is phenomenal. Blue Ocean Strategy is one of the best books I've ever read regarding business. So you're like, what is Blue Ocean Strategy? So to summarize it, it pretty much is like, they created this strategy canvas, and it's a great drill for you to do to really kind of create value innovation in business. Value innovation is a cornerstone of Blue Ocean Strategy. We call it innovation because instead of focusing on beating the competition, you focus on making the competition irrelevant by creating a leap in value for buyers and your company, and you open up a new market space. Okay, the focus here is increasing value. So how do you actually do this? There's 4 main steps here. You want to eliminate what factors in our industry can be eliminated. What factors in our industry can be reduced below industry standards? What factors can be raised above industry standards? And what factors can be created that the industry has never offered? So you're going to look at standard healthcare. What things can be eliminated, reduced, raised, or created? And you can apply this to your healthcare business model now. So example, I'm going to show you what we've done. Okay, eliminate. We eliminated insurance limitations. We eliminated reimbursement limitations. We eliminated double and triple booking. We eliminated treatments that don't work. And we eliminated patients getting passed around to different therapists and different clinicians. Things that we reduced waiting times and late starts. Okay. I think it's so annoying if you have a physician visit scheduled for 11 o'clock and it's 11:45 and you haven't even been called back yet. I hate that. From a patient experience standpoint, I can't stand that. So we reduced those things. We raised an outcome-based quality of patient care. If you're paying cash for services, you better deliver. There is a little bit more pressure when you're asking someone to pay cash. You better deliver on the results. Patient education, communication is a huge problem in healthcare. So we raised that. We solved that problem by giving patients direct access to our concierge specialists and to each providing physical therapist. They can text and ask questions. Scheduling convenience and a new patient experience customer service. Things that we created a new cash-based business model, video-based home exercise programs, a money-back guarantee. Yes, we're not guaranteeing treatment works. We're saying that if you don't respond to treatment, I view complex cases as either they're responders or non-responders, that if this patient is struggling with finding results and they come here and they don't like treatment or they don't respond to treatment, that we'll give them a full money back guarantee and we'll give them their money back. So it's not guaranteeing treatment works. It's just saying that if you don't respond to treatment, we'll give you your money back. Cost transparency, which is done through the No Surprise Act, which is great. We have a direct to consumer marketing strategy, and we created a concierge specialist. So we took the blue ocean strategy and put it into our business, and this is how we created our blue ocean, or aka purple ocean. But this is what makes us different compared to the standard. Okay, it makes us better. It makes us, or allows us to like innovate, and then it shows clearly how we are different compared to standard physical therapy, and it shows clearly how we're different compared to standard healthcare. Okay, who else offers a money back guarantee? No one. So no one's going to pay you your cash rate if you're the same as everyone else. Okay, create your blue ocean and highlight how your company is different and your practice is different compared to the standard. Okay, so remember, rule number 3: if your product or service is the same as your competition, it's a race to the bottom, and they're just going to be looking for who can do this the cheapest. And that's what they're going to be looking for. You have to highlight how you're different and show them how you are different. Any questions on that one? I'm going to pull up the chat just in case. Nope. Okay. I'm going to move on to rule number 4. Okay. Understand psychographics. Okay. Oh, someone just asked a question. Let me get this. How do you explain to a patient that responding to treatment is different from guaranteeing results? So our policy is this: if a patient isn't seeing a change in progress or results within 2 to 4 sessions of starting treatment, if they don't like treatment, if they're not responding to it, if they don't like me for any reason, we'll give them a full refund in the first 2 weeks. So we believe it's not right for a patient to pay cash for services if they're not getting results. And this is really meant for those complex cases. They've already spent thousands of dollars already on treatment and nothing's working. So we put it there. And again, there's a lot of times people need surgery and they come here asking us to see if we can prevent surgery. And sometimes they need surgery. So it's really meant for those complex cases. So that's what it's meant there for. So you see this. What does your money back guarantee look like in writing? It's pretty much summarizing what I just said. We have a policy written out in the new patient paperwork that they like read over exactly what I just said, and then they sign off on it. How do you define treatment does not work? It's up to the patient to decide. I just want to see a meaningful change in pain. Research shows that's what, 2-point change or at least progress on the numeric pain rating scale. I just want, in 2 weeks, I should be able to make a change to someone's pain and know that things are trending in the right direction. But again, there's times where they don't respond to treatment and I'm just causing more pain, causing more pain, and pain just going up, or I'm not making a change to anything. So I should be able to make a change in the first 2 to 4 sessions, but it's really up up to the patient. Because if I'm asking someone to pay $5,000 for treatment and they've already spent $15,000 of treatment, I believe it's not right for them to pay for services if I can't help them at all. So it's really, I'll put it all on the patient's subjective perspective on that, and they can choose whether they want to continue or not. So it's really up to the patient. There's no objective measure. I just leave it up to the patient. So awesome questions. Keep them coming. Rule number 4, okay? Understanding psychographics, okay? So most people think demographics. Oh, we're thinking age, education, gender, salary, and stuff like that. Think differently with cash-based physical therapy. Psychographics is, what is your patient thinking? What motivates them? What's their attitudes? What's their inspirations? What's problems, goals, their dreams, desires? What are they thinking when they're in pain? Okay. So a simple drill here is, what's your perfect patient thinking? If you don't have time, if you haven't even thought about your perfect patient, that's your first step. Define what your perfect patient is. We have 3. We have those high performers, affluent, we have athletes, and we have complex cases, and each one thinks differently. Okay. So like a simple drill, this is a perfect example here. A lawyer, my perfect client is someone who's middle to upper class, educated, has plenty of car and health insurance, is looking for a respected authority, not just a lottery payout from who they will take advice from. Of course, we're looking for large damage cases, but my marketing is designed to attract the client he wants and to repel anyone who doesn't match that model. There's a very good part of it. An example, again, attributes I don't want to see in a client. So not just who you want to see is your perfect patient, but also who don't you want to see. They think their injury is a path to riches. They, principle matters, and they aren't really interested in it for the money. On their third lawyer case, the first wants to talk about it, about 2 of their lawyers. But the most important thing here is they identify who they want to see, who's their perfect patient, and then they identify who they don't want to see. So a simple drill is to take some time and write down, what is your perfect patient? How many different types do you have? And what are they thinking? Okay, what's their mindset? Because our perfect patients, again, we have 3 main ones of who we're kind of targeting: affluent, athletes, and complex cases. So when they're dealing with pain or an injury, how does a CEO or a high performer think? When they're dealing with pain or injury, they're like, I don't have time for this. Who's the best person that I know that could fix this? And they go instantly to their network and word of mouth referrals. Hey, I'm struggling with this. Who is that guy that you saw that like fixed you up real quick? They want this problem solved, and they want it solved ASAP. They don't have time to doing this. This is ruining their work, their performance, and they're not golfing or running or doing something. And then if they don't have someone within their actual network, then they're on Google right away, and they're searching best sciatica treatment specialist. Who's the best headache physician in town? Like, these people are thinking differently compared to your average person. Okay. And I don't know if you know this or not, but everyone's rating things from like superior A, B, C, and D. There is a tier to healthcare system. Like when a professional athlete, when Aaron Rodgers ruptured his Achilles tendon, he wasn't going to standard healthcare. There's a different level. Those high performers are wanting the best. They're ones who they're willing to fly out to Texas to see Dr. Duffy at that Texas Spine Institute to do the lumbar fusion and the disc replacement surgery, the one that Tiger Woods had. They're thinking like that. These guys are like, who is the best person to fix my pain? Whenever my wife got diagnosed with MS, I asked the same question: who's the best MS expert in all the nation? And I flew out to Texas to see Dr. Darren Akuda. These people want the best and are willing to pay for it. So what does an athlete think? An athlete's thinking, I was like, oh crap, I can't play. Who do I need to see to get back on the field? How fast can I get back? And then make sure it doesn't come back, because I want to go win a championship or compete or play. So an athlete thinks different. How does a recreational golfer think? He's like, oh, I can't play golf with my friends or my men's group on the weekend. Who do I need to see? Who's the best golf specialist guy that I can get in to see to get me back playing golf? How does a person in chronic pain that failed multiple treatments think? It's sad to say these people are just looking for hope. They're looking for a solution. They're online looking how to fix my back pain, what to do after failed treatment approaches. These people are just searching for hope. They're not looking for necessarily the best. They just want someone solve solve their problem and like help them. But this is a total different mindset compared to the high performers or like even athletes. But here's a question for you. How does the average patient in the healthcare system with a script for PT think? Are they even thinking any of that stuff? Do they care about the quality of care? Do they care about the physiotherapy? Are they looking for specific treatments? Are they looking for the best? You know, do you see where there's a different psychographic combination with going through just standard healthcare and patients getting passed through that whole standard path versus marketing direct to the consumer, marketing directly to your perfect patient, and making sure that perfect patient values the healthcare they're getting? So you need to design your marketing message to attract that perfect patient, just like that lawyer example. Your marketing message should attract your perfect patient. So when patients or prospective patients go to the website, your website should attract your perfect patient. The website copy, the flow of it, the examples should attract your perfect patient, but it should repel people that don't care about the things that you're caring or that you're different compared to standard care, and stuff like that. So your website should attract your perfect patient, but also repel the ones that aren't. Okay. So this is one of the most important things in designing your marketing strategy is that, it's like understand what your perfect patient is doing. We need to get out of the old way of just marketing and doing branding stuff. It's more optimal patient targeting. Identify the prospective patient and what your ideal patient is. Identify that target niche and understand their psychographics. So your marketing message will speak to that audience and be laser focused and appeal to them and make them say, yes, I want that. That's anyone who goes to my website, I want them to be wowed and be like, wow, I'm calling right now. I want this. Yes. Okay. So the more specific the marketing, the better. Again, stop being vanilla, be more pistachio. You want to be optimal patient targeting. The more specific, the better. If I'm marketing a sciatica campaign, I'm not dropping them on the website. I'm dropping them on a sciatica landing page with all sciatica testimonials with my treatment approach of how I treat sciatica. Okay. You want it to be specific. It's not general. Okay. If I'm marketing a headache campaign, I'm not dropping them on the homepage. I'm dropping them on a headache landing page with all headache testimonials and highlighting how I treat headaches. Okay. So more specific, the better. But to get more cash paying patients, your marketing message needs to change. It needs to speak to the psychographics of your perfect patient. So rule number 4 is understanding psychographics and defining who your perfect patient is. It can be multiple ones. And then understanding what they're thinking of and taking a step back and just writing it out and making sure that marketing message or that landing page copy is speaking to that target patient. That's how you'll get more cash paying patients. If you haven't seen Simon Sinek's TED Talk about why yet, this is the #1 TED Talk of all time. But it highlights an important fundamental principle in why people do business and why people work for you. Is the goal is not to do business with everyone who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe in what you believe. You will attract these people. Okay, so you have to understand why, and that drives behavior. So number 4 is understanding your perfect patient and psychographics, especially with your marketing message. Any questions on that one at all? Okay, if it pops up, I can see it up here. Okay, perfect. Rule number 5, an oversaturated market is a good thing. Okay. This is an example of my market up in Orlando. There are physiotherapists, chiropractors, physicians, all over the place. I am in a total oversaturated market. Okay. And that's great because it shows that the need is there. We're just going to do it better than everyone else. A lot of cash-based stuff, it's not about servicing a need that's not there. Cash-based actually does really good in an oversaturated market. So if you're going to start a business in an oversaturated market, which healthcare in most places is an oversaturated market. If you're going to open a business in an oversaturated market with lots of competition, your product or service needs to be far superior than your competition. Not a little better, not great, far superior. There's a common trend here. You have to highlight how you're different, and you have to offer different services and do it better than standard competition. So a business tip, a cash-based practice thrives in an oversaturated market. So just because someone has a dance program out there, don't stop. Okay, don't let that competition stop you from creating your own dance injury program. Or if someone is a tennis guy or a golf program, if you want to create a golf program into your practice, go out and do it. Do it better than them. Like go out and do it better. Okay. So rule number 5 is an oversaturated market is a good thing. The goal is we're going to highlight how we're different and we're going to do it better. Imagine if Bill Gates didn't start Microsoft because MS-DOS was already there, which he pretty much copied it and just made it better. Or, there's phones galore. What if Steve Jobs never pursued Apple to even open up an iPhone? So don't let your competition stop you from creating a cash program or doing anything. An oversaturated market's a good thing, and we're just going to do it better. So that was a short one, but rule number 6. This is the second most important thing. You ready? The value has to be greater than the price. Okay. So you have to think about this. Are you even creating enough value right now for a $70 copay? Because I know there's a lot of standard insurance clinics out there that people have a $40, $50, $70 copay that they're struggling to even and people are saying no to that. Or are you creating enough patient value for a $220 eval? Are you creating enough patient value for a $5,600 treatment plan? The value has to be greater than the price. You can't just say someone's calling and they're saying they're looking for a physiotherapy, and you can't just say, okay, our evals are $220. Is that okay? They're going to be like, what? Because the price is way more than the value. The value has to be way bigger than the price. So instead of saying that, you got to show them the value. So if someone's asking about physiotherapy, you have to say, well, okay, it all starts with solving the root cause of your pain and highlighting the underlying risk factors to get you pain-free in the fewest amount of sessions. Our evals here, after the evaluation, you will know exactly what is that root cause, what are underlying risk factors, what's the best way to treat it, what's a timeline on when we expect results, and what's the plan. We do a comprehensive eval here, so it does include some treatment too. We're not just going to tell you what's wrong, but not do anything about it. So it does entail some treatment also with the eval, so we can get you some relief. And you also get a customized video-based home program that's going to give you things to do at home. But the first step is to solve that root cause, and then we're going to customize treatment to get you pain-free in the fewest amount of sessions. And we'll do all this for $220. Is that okay? Do you see the difference there? The value has to be in front of the price, or they're never going to buy. So when the high price is there, but there's no value, everyone's going to balk at it and say no. But when there's massive value with a high price, you can still make a sale. Okay. And this is called the value stat. Okay. So this is a great drill that you guys can all do. What is everything that the patient's going to get at your PT eval? Or you could replace it with your golf program or with your Alive After 55 program, whatever you're trying to sell cash for. What is everything that the patient's going to get with this? I'm just using the evaluation as an example. So I want you to list everything out that the patient's going to get at your PT eval, because that patient's calling and they're probably looking around to see what everyone has to offer, and we're offering a $220 eval. So the value has to be huge because they're going to call around and ask around what other people are are offering. So I kind of gave you a clip of our value stack, but sit down and write this out. What is everything that they're going to get during your PT eval or your program? We're going to do this. We're going to have a 60 to 90-minute evaluation. We're going to solve the root cause. We're going to do this. You're going to get an accurate prognosis and a timeline, and then add more value. Just think of something more to add, okay? And there's a cool drill here. I got this from Alex Hermosi. What if you were going to charge $10,000 or $5,000 for your eval? How much more benefits and value can you add to it if you're going to charge $5,000 for it? Or your cash program that you're going to add on after physiotherapy is done, and you're going to upsell them to a golf injury program or golf performance program or anything like that. If you're going to charge $10,000 for it, what does it entail? So go over this drill and just think, what are other things that I can add value and benefits to it? Well, we offer 24/7 messaging access to your physiotherapist. Everyone gets a customized video-based home program. You get access to a closed community. If you're seeing dancers or golfers or tennis players, create an online community with other people. Anything that your patient wants or values. We can give them mobility equipment and TheraBands for free, a money back guarantee. No one else offers that. Think about what ways you can increase patient value to increase your value stack when you're doing it. And again, you want to make your service so unique with massive value that there's nothing else to compare it to, and you'll dominate the competition. Okay. So this is an example of our Satica landing page when we're asking someone to call now. And this is an example of our value stack that's on the website. It's everything that I just kind of went over, and bonuses, because there's people out there that are looking for a solution to their pain, and they're calling around asking about booking an eval. How does your value stack up to standard physical therapy? How does your value stack up to a chiropractor's eval? How does your eval stack up to an orthosurgeon's or a primary care physician? I love it when someone goes in and says, I went into the primary care physician, he told me I had back pain. And I already knew. I went in there with back pain and told me nothing about it, nothing what to do, take these meds and see what's going on. I love cases like that. Like, there's no value in that. And so another thing is, how's your eval compared to a pain management physician? Okay, so don't just think physical therapy or your competition. Think of all of healthcare. How does your eval or your program stack up against your competition? So remember, the value has to be greater than the price, or no one's ever going to say yes to any cash rates or cash services. The patient has to see the value. Remember, price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Okay. So whenever you're offering cash services or trying to sell them, the patient has to see the value, and the value has to be greater than the price. And that's rule number 6. Let's see if that one generates any comments or questions. I'll give you guys like a minute or two with that. Okay, I'm going to move on. So we are on rule number 7, the 2 most important things that a patient cares about. Okay, the 2 most important things that patients value, because I just talked about value and creating a value stack, and the value has to be greater than the price. The 2 most important things that patients value is results and the quality of the customer experience. There's a great book, it's probably back there somewhere, what service industry leaders know and do. And they created this patient value formula. And the 2 factors that are directly proportional to increasing value is results and the customer experience and the patient experience. And these are the 2 things that you need to focus on when you're doing cash services. Okay. Now, healthcare in general has the worst customer experience I've ever seen. I mean, it is so bad. So healthcare in general, this is an easy thing that you can do to differentiate yourself in the patient experience, because healthcare needs a customer service course big time. Okay. And if you had to rate standard healthcare in the patient experience, oh man, it's like way down here. This is the F tier when it comes to standard healthcare and the patient experience, because it's really, really, really bad. So the standard is set really low here, and we can kill it here with this. So you want to create a patient-centered system with a consistently remarkable patient experience, great outcomes, not just meeting expectations, exceed expectations, and create meaningful relationships. Doing little things like when it's raining outside, the doctor of physical therapy is carrying the umbrella, walking the patient outside, or shooting that person a text and saying, "Hey, I'm just checking in on you." Create a patient-centered system that focuses everything about what is best for the patient. That's what your patient experience should be about. I can't really help you with the results. That's up to you. But what you can do is create an unbelievable patient experience. Okay. The best touch point integration I have ever seen in my life is this book, Never Lose a Customer Again by Joey Coleman. I have never seen, and I've taken some Disney courses on the experience, and they're pretty good too, and what they want every customer going into. But this is hands down the best book I've ever read, Phases of the Patient Experience. And he goes through each phase and identifies touch points of how to create an unbelievable patient experience here, where you'll never lose a patient again, because the experience was so good that they'll never leave, and they'll always refer everyone. And again, it's not just meeting expectations, it's creating an experience that blows their mind and exceeds expectations. Okay. These are some examples here with like testimonials. It's creating an unbelievable patient experience that you get things like the level of care and attention provided is truly unmatched. My experience here has been incredible and worth every cent. They're incredible professionals, their skill levels are unmatched, and they change lives every day. Truly life-changing experience. These are real testimonials by real patients. We don't prefabricate or get them to write stuff. These are people telling their stories. So again, you want to create real value for your patients, that they're willing to pay cash for. The two most important things that you need to focus on is results and the patient experience. And if you can master that, you're going to create a word of mouth referral machine of other patients ready and willing to pay cash for services. Because when that person who pays cash for services refers someone else, that's an easy sell. It's a word of mouth referral. They're pretty much ready and willing to pay cash already. So if you master these two things, you're going to create a word of mouth referral machine of cash paying patients. Okay. So if some of you follow me online, you may have heard this story already, but there's a story of the $40,000 text. It's probably $50,000 or $60,000 now, but at the time I was writing this, I actually calculated everything. It's the $40,000 text. So I treated a patient of mine. She was running the New York City Marathon. I treated her, and she went off and ran the race. Her husband is a prominent lawyer around Orlando. A few years ago, he calls me up and say, "Hey, you want to go out to lunch sometime?" And I'm like, "Great, perfect." I figured he would want to talk about business, how I can refer people to him, auto injury cases and stuff like that. So we're out eating lunch, and he comes up and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Ron, I've referred you so many people over the past couple of years. I don't even know how many people that I refer you to. Do you know why?" I was like, "Why? Because I treated your wife?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I don't even know what you really do. But when we were up in New York City for that marathon, on the morning of the marathon, he looked down at the phone, and it was me texting her saying, 'Good luck. You got this. I wish you the best, and I'm sending prayers your way for a successful race.'" He's like, "That's the type of care that I want my friends and family and people to get." So just because of a text that I sent to a patient of mine, her husband referred me so many people. He doesn't even know what I really do, but he's referred so many people, and then those people referred people, and the total is probably over 40 or 50 or $60,000 now. But it's just an important thing that highlights the patient experience here. We're creating a meaningful patient-centered experience is huge, and patients value that. Remember, the two most important things is results and the patient experience. Okay. And doing something as simple as a little text just say, hey, just letting you know that I'm thinking about you, or congrats on certain something is really meaningful, and it builds that relationship and that patient experience going. So how is your patient experience? Is it different compared to standard healthcare? So that's something to also look into. Is better yet, is it better than Hinge Health? So this stuff's coming. So we have to make sure that which I think Hinge Health is horrible for our profession, but it's great for my business and like stuff like that. But does anyone have any questions about this? The two most important things that patients value: results and the patient experience. And it's something that it can't just be results, it's also the patient experience, because you're going to create raving fans and they're going to create a word of mouth referral system for you that's just going to still produce cash paying patients. Any questions about that one? Give you guys a minute or a second. Okay, we're almost there. Rules 8 through 12. Okay. These are strategies that you can use to overcome the insurance mindset. This is the number one problem when it comes with cash paying patients and selling cash based services. Okay. So rules 8 through 12 are really about overcoming the insurance mindset barriers. And you're going to hear this. Do you take my insurance? Okay. And it's kind of going back to the example of do you do this on the phone, and people who are in the insurance mindset that they'll just say no, or they'll start asking questions, or do you take your insurance, or do you present it in a way that kind of I did, and we do all this for you for $220? Is this okay? And they say yes. When's the next available time? So you created so much value that the price of $220 or whatever you're selling is nothing. And they're like, yes, that's fine. When's the next available time? That's what you want to say, and things that you want to do to set yourself up for a successful sale. So inside your patient's head, okay, they have problems, they have questions, and they have roadblocks. And they all want to get to this other cliff where the results are. But you got to make sure that you can show them that you can solve their problems, you can provide answers to their questions, and remove roadblocks and barriers. Okay. The removing roadblocks and barriers is the hardest one. Okay. But if you can solve all three, once they believe that you can get them results, is when they journey across the bridge, they make change, they take action, and say yes to your cash rate. Okay. And this comes down to sales and marketing. But don't just understand that all of our patients have problems, they have questions, and they have roadblocks. And in a cash-based practice, we really need to understand the roadblocks and the barriers to change. Because if you can identify the roadblocks when you're talking to a patient, then you can identify them and actually create change of going from an insurance mindset to willing to pay cash. Okay. So the key thing here is understanding the roadblocks. And we're going to go over 5 of them. There's 5 basic roadblocks that, when we're trying to create a behavior change or a change to the status quo, because everyone's so used to insurance, that there's 5 main types of barriers: reactance to being sold to, endowment that they believe it should be given, distance of whether cash versus insurance is even the right thing, uncertainty and risk, and the lack of evidence. These are all reasons here that why someone would say no. Okay. So to being sold to, no one wants a used car salesman to be like salesy to them and all this stuff and try to persuade them. So the solution to this is just allow them to take control, allow them to make the choice, and use tactical empathy. Okay. Give them a menu, and allow the patient to be able to make the choice. Okay. Don't force them into doing anything. When someone's choosing a healthcare provider, they don't want to be suckered in or sold something. They want the freedom to go around and choose who's the best person to treat my pain. Okay. You can give them a menu or even highlight, this is what standard care does, this is what we do, and have a chart on your website. This is the standard and this is us. Which one do you choose? Use things like tactical empathy. I understand, because we're really trying to do what's best for that patient and really just helping that person make a decision that is best for them. We're just professional mind maker decision people that are helping them make the best decision for them. So, even with our phone call script, if someone's like thinking about it, we don't try to force them into a sale. We say stuff like this, like, no worries. I don't want you to feel pressured to have to make a decision right now. My job is to make sure that you're taken care of, and I want to help you find the best clinic that meets your needs and wants. What I can do to help is I can send you a text with everything that's included in our pursuit evaluation, which is our value stack. Um, is this your cell phone number? Great. This way you can look around and compare to what others have to offer, and then make a decision on what's best for you. And if you don't find what you want, then just give us a call back. So we actually tell them to go and compare to what other people have to offer, and then compare to what we send them, which no one's going to be able to match that. So then we get people calling us back like, hey, I want to proceed with that eval. And we get some people actually calling us back saying, yes, I want to pay cash. So to overcome being sold to, give them the freedom to choose and like show empathy. The next one is the status quo, and everything is being covered by insurance. This one is a hard one. This is where the value stack comes in, because everyone's so used to the norm. They don't know what a deductible is. They don't know what a co-insurance is. They just blindly go into healthcare and get a bill for $3,000 because they have 3 months later because they have a $3,000 deductible. But going against the status quo is really where the value stack comes in. And you're going to really have to highlight the value for the price. Okay. And creating a irresistible offer and showing them upside on this. That's which kind of what we've already gone over. So you want to create an irresistible offer with a value stack. Okay. And then you can also highlight things of what happens if they don't choose you, what standard care is like. The value is what has to be highlighted here. And, to be honest, the days of insurance covering everything are gone. There's always co-insurances and deductibles and all sorts of stuff. So, we have to do a lot of education to allow these patients that insurance doesn't cover everything anymore, and that healthcare is not free anymore. Another thing to think about too is if we're asking someone to pay $220 or $5,000, we're not an impulse buy. This isn't a Facebook ad. Okay. People aren't going to choose their medical professional off of a Facebook ad and say, yes, I want to spend $220 versus if someone's trying to sell me a wallet for $65, I'll spend that really quick just to see if it's good with a single touch point. Most PTs or medical providers are not doing under $100 evals or services and stuff like that. So we're not an impulse buy. Patients are going to have to think about it. They're going to, have to look around. They're going to search your website. They're going to ask questions. Remember, you need to show them that you can solve the problem, answer the questions, and remove the roadblocks. Okay, so we're going to ask them to spend more $220. So we're not an impulse buy. They're not going to buy on that first touch point. They're going to look around online. They're going to see reviews. They're going to see the Google business listing. Then they're going to go to the website. Then they're going to search around there and see the testimonials. Then they're going to, maybe leave and come back 2 days later. They're going to do the research to try to find someone who's the best person to treat their pain. So we're not an impulse buy. And again, the value has to be greater than the price. So to overcome the status quo, you have to have the value stack. You have to have so much value there, so much upside that's a no-brainer for them to say, yes, I want that. And if you want to be different than your competition, behave and act in different ways. We need to do different things. If you're going to ask someone to pay cash and be different compared to the status quo, you've got to be different compared to your competition. Bill M. Jones is one of my best sales guys that I love listening to. I'm not a salesy guy. I like to show value, show empathy, and show that I care about the patient and do it in a humble way. And he has some great books. I love his sales strategies, and it fits me perfect. I hate the salesy type of stuff. Like, how does it make you feel that you failed other treatments? I hate that stuff. So I like Phil M. Jones's style of sales. So changing rooted beliefs, good luck with this one. We're not going to be able to do too much with this one. You know, some people will just always say no. And it comes down to like, there's sometimes I remember I had a patient who was a word of mouth referral. She's originally from Poland or maybe like socialized medicine over in Europe. And she was a word of mouth referral. I helped her daughter out. She had some pain and she just couldn't get through her head that she had to pay for services. And she just said no. I got her in for an eval and she said no because she couldn't get over the fact of just doesn't believe that she should have to pay for services. And there's some people out there like that. That's fine. We may not be the best fit for them, but these people are really hard to change. And again, I'm not about doing free evals. You're just going to attract people who want free stuff. At minimum, the only thing I would do if I held a seminar or something like that is give half off to like a running injury club or something like that. But most of the time, stay away from free evals to try to get people in. These people who have the belief system of healthcare should be free, these are really, really hard people. And I've seen people that pay, like, I can't believe I'm paying for this. I can't believe I'm paying for this. So some of these people, these are going to be really, really hard to switch those people. So the last two, if someone's thinking about paying cash for services, you better deliver on the service. So how do I know treatment's going to even work? So these are the two most important things. So uncertainty and risk. What strategies that can you do to help that person say yes? You know, make it easy and try to decrease the risk, the money back guarantee. Tell patient story testimonials. That is the number one thing. Okay. When a patient is questioning whether it's going to work or not everyone here can even do a money back guarantee. I get it. But the power of telling a story, of you telling a patient case of something that's very similar to what that patient's talking to you about, online reviews and testimonials. This is your number one thing that you can do to get someone to say yes and to decrease that risk. This is an example. The testimonial process has been a game changer. People call and say, hey, I read your reviews and they're phenomenal. How do I sign up for this? And they're like easy sales. The testimonial will overcome a lot of the cash-based stuff because if someone's struggling with chronic headaches and they see a case like this and they read this testimonial, they're like, that's me. I want that. Or someone like this. The testimonial is the most powerful way to get someone to say yes to cash. Okay. And it's not just random testimonials, it's matched result based testimonials. So if someone comes in with a sciatica, they're going to get sciatica testimonials. Okay. If I'm marketing a headache campaign or a shockwave campaign, they're going to see all shockwave testimonials. Okay. These are examples of high performer testimonials. You know, what do they value, and are these testimonials speaking to them? How about athletes? You can do cool stuff with take action. I didn't take these shots, but you can ask them to send an action shot and make the testimonial there. So if someone ever comes in with like wakeboarding or any kind of water skiing injury, they're going to see this like, wow, that person works with those type of athletes. That's me. Or like swimmers or anything like that. So complex cases, these are the most powerful testimonials because you're changing someone's life and giving them their like life back, and they'll be willing to tell their whole story with this. But the power of the testimonial is huge. Like this was a sciatica case that went from 9 to 0 and didn't need surgery after being to 3 separate physicians who all wanted to do surgery on her. So the power of the testimonial is great. So you need to have a testimonial process if you're going to sell cash services, and those patients need to see these testimonials. Okay. So to overcome risk, the money back guarantee and or the testimonial process. Someone just did post a question. I'm going to do that. Okay. Question. Who in your office is dedicated? Who in your office educates new callers about the value? Licensing professional or your office team? I trained the front desk to do all of this. The front desk job is to take that phone call and to show them the value to get them to pay the evaluation. So in my system, it goes leads, evals, new patients, sales. The front desk job is to convert any lead that comes in into a paid eval. So the front desk or the concierge specialist is going to educate them on value, and I've trained her how to do sales. Okay. But there's a two-step process to get that patient fully committed to that plan of care. And then the PT's job, or one of the stats that we measure, is the conversion rate of evals to new patients. Okay. So there's a two-step approach with this, with educating the patient about the value. So it's kind of both the PT and the front desk on that. But my front desk is trained in the sales process, and she knows what to say to be able to answer that. And if there's any complex cases, like she's not sure, we have one of our specialists call that patient to answer any questions that they may not have. Just because we see a lot of complex cases, and my patient doesn't know what neuralgia paresthetica is, or some random diagnosis like that. So she'll, like, if it's something that she doesn't know, we'll have one of our specialists or one of the therapists call that patient at lunch and help answer any questions. So, oh, I got another question. What exactly is a concierge specialist? That's just my cool name for a front desk. The concierge specialist is to make sure that the patient is taken care of on all aspects, better than just a front desk. They answer questions. They run out with an umbrella if it's raining. They give them the reimbursement paperwork. They are part of the patient experience. If we know that the patient's graduating, she shoots them a text from the pursuit phone. It's a great touch point. It's the front desk / the patient experience type of thing. It's going above and beyond, doing little things like, if the patient's running late today and it's in the morning and they really want a cup of coffee, our front desk will leave and go and get a cup of coffee for that patient and come back. It's doing those little things, those meaningful touch points, that if we do that, that patient will forever remember that forever. That, wow, that person left and went and got coffee and went and got that for me. That's what I'm talking about creating a meaningful touch point. Tom had a question. Okay, good. Tom, I think you have to type out your question. I just see my name there, Ron. Yes, I do pay my front desk rate per bonus. Everyone has I run everything off a production-based system, so everyone has stats. My front desk bonuses program is the number of conversions that she can get a month. And she gets a bonus for every external lead. Every external lead that she converts, she gets $10. That's her bonus structure. Mac asks, how do you get a potential patient to go from Google reviews to your self-made testimonials? So normally they go to Google, and if someone calls directly from Google, that's a little bit harder sell. We want them to go to the website, and specifically if they have low back pain, they want to go to the lower back pain page and read lower back pain testimonials. But normally they'll call, and then they end up coming in, and they come in for the eval. We blow their socks off with the patient experience. Then they say yes to the treatment package. And then kind of that Joey Coleman step of going through touch point integration throughout the whole patient experience. And at the very end, when we deliver on the promises that we promised them and gave them an unbelievable patient experience at the very end, then we ask for the testimonial, and then they do a picture with us and stuff like that. So, oh, thanks, Kathy, for joining. Kathy's in the mastermind. I did not set this up either. Thank you for saying that, Kathy. Kathy's in the cash-based mastermind. I think she's out of Tampa too. So, well, thank you for that. I did not set set that up. Thank you, Kathy. Like, this guy's a scam artist. Okay, we got one more rule, then we're going to close this out, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So patients are thinking about this all the time. If I pay cash, does it really work? Okay, again, the lack of evidence and proof that it actually works. This is where the testimonial will come in again and solve this problem for you. You need to show results and evidence and proof. You can show the patient research support, but what's even more powerful is that testimonial of that patient that had cervical fusion, that had neck pain still, that had a successful outcome. And the patient's reading it, it's like, that's me. I need to call these guys ASAP and like get in. So you need to be able to show them evidence and social proof, testimonials, the timing of testimonials. And if you don't have any testimonials, there are strategies in place that you can get some, or at least show them the like research on what the research is showing, stuff like that. So getting testimonials, results-based testimonials that match the patient's injury, local business listings, make sure they're posting it on reviews for Google searches. And then worst case scenario, again, tell a story of a past patient. Tell another story that has a similar diagnosis and walk them through the whole journey of what they did to what they're at today. So rule number 12, to overcome the lack of evidence and proof, the testimonial. Again, the testimonial has been a game changer with this and really getting more and more patients to say yes to cash, where we're the #1 ranked clinic in Orlando now. I think we have a 380 5-star reviews. We have testimonials all over the place. And one of the common findings when someone calls is, man, I looked at your testimonials and they're just phenomenal. And I've been struggling with back pain. I just wanted to call and see if I could ask a couple questions about how you guys do things here. And then they're already warmed up. So instead of getting cold leads, we're getting warm and hot leads, just because of the testimonial process. So simple actions that you can do to overcome some of these barriers, give the patients freedom to choose, create the value stack, money back guarantee. Some may or may not be able to do that, and definitely the testimonial process. So remember, all these patients have problems, questions, and roadblocks, and they all want to get over here to the results. But you have to show them that you can solve their problem, answer their questions, and get rid of the roadblocks. And then they'll say yes, and they'll go across and buy from you and say yes to your cash rate. So we got a few more questions here. Testimonial here. Okay, Michelle asks, how do cash pay models work around Medicare provider laws? So that Medicare question is a hard one. I keep things very black and white. I don't like to go million shades of gray, and I don't push the line. Gwen Simmons is a great consult with this. She's a lawyer and a PT. We can't opt out of Medicare. So you can't see Medicare for a Medicare covered service that's deemed medically necessary. So if it's deemed medically necessary for Medicare law, kind of like independent, they're lacking bathing, grooming, dressing, household ambulation, and toileting and stuff like that. You can't just say, yes, we can't opt out of Medicare law, but you can see stuff for Medicare patients that is not deemed medically necessary per Medicare guidelines. So I like to keep it black and white, so I don't push that law or kind of go around it at all. I like to keep things nice and simple. So if I ever get audited, they can come and look, and I have my policy in place and they can go through and look at it and stuff. We don't see a lot of Medicare patients, just because we don't really market to like a lot of Medicare patients. But Gwen Simmons is a great consult with that. She's a PT and a lawyer on that. She has a really good course regarding Medicare and cash-based services. Again, some people will look at loopholes and go around it. I keep it nice and simple, black and white. I go by keep it simple, stupid. So we have a simple, easy policy that we don't really see patients for cash for Medicare covered services. The only way that we can see cash is through if they're excluded from Medicare guidelines. How does cash base work around direct access laws if for 30? Okay, yes. So in Florida, we have 30 days direct access if they've never been seen by a practitioner of record. I remember talking to Sheila about this when they like wrote this and going to her course at the FPTA conference. And she added clarity to this one. So remember, it's 30 days direct access if they've never been seen by a practitioner of record. That's MDDO, PA now, nurse practitioner, podiatrist, chiropractor, dentist. So if they have been seen by a practitioner of record, that means you have full beyond 30 days direct access with them. You don't have to get a practitioner to sign plan of care. If they've never been seen by a practitioner of record, then you just have to get one of those practitioners of record to sign off on your plan of care if you're going to see them beyond 30 days. But if they've seen a practitioner of record already, then you're fine beyond 30 days. How do you do packages for services? I'm going to show you my packages in a few slides from now, but I view patients as easy versus complex. Easy cases, we just do individual sessions. You'll get pain-free in 2 to 4 sessions. It's $185 a session. Everything else is complex. If it's going to take weeks and months to get better, we have packages of 6, 12, 18, and 24, depending on your diagnosis, your goals, complexity. And we have packages for that, and it averages out to 170 a session with that. But I'm going to show you my exact packages below in the next couple of slides. So, okay. So in summary, I'm going to follow these rules. I know I did a lot. I went over a lot here, and I'm going to give you guys access to the videos, and I'm going to give you access to my slides so you guys can go back and kind of go over everything. But in summary, use these rules to get more cash paying patients. I think, okay. So we went over the 12 rules for cash. Stop marketing physical therapy and think bigger. Think all of healthcare, okay? Are you vanilla or pistachio? Understand that cash-based physical therapy doesn't appeal to the masses. We're more pistachio ice cream, so you got to select for a niche market or a select few people and understand, it's not for everyone. When your product or service is the same, it's a race to the bottom. Remember that one. And you got to understand your psychographics to appeal to your perfect patient. Okay, and that could be your perfect patient or your program you're running. You have to understand what they're thinking if you're going to sell them cash services. Remember, an oversaturated market is a good thing. Don't stop if you're wanting to make a golf injury program if there's 2 others around there. Do it better. Remember, the value needs to be better and greater than the price. Okay, it can't be like this. The value has to be higher than the price. The 2 most important things that patients care about: results and the patient experience. Give them the freedom to choose. Don't be a forceful salesperson, and don't try to incent them to buy now or to do anything like that. Give them the freedom to choose. Create so much value that it's a no-brainer for them to say yes. Okay. Remember, complete that value stack task so you increase value to overcome the status quo and comparing yourself to the norm. No freebies. Decrease risk with a money back guarantee or a testimonial. And then the power of the testimonial. If you really want to get patients calling saying yes and ready to do it, they need to read a story or see someone else's story and see evidence that it actually works. So how can you incorporate these rules into your practice? You got to design your vivid vision. And a vivid vision is a 3-year plan of what you want to do over the next 3 years. And an ideal goal is 30% growth, 25% growth, and 20% growth each year. Okay, so at your next yearly strategy meeting with your leadership team or with you, where do you view your practice going in the next 3 years? Okay, this is an example of ours. Okay, this year, our goal, we're actually on pace to be $1 million clinic this year. We're killing it this year. But this was our 2026 vivid vision of our goals of what our goals were for the next 3 years. Okay. So this year we're going to do more than that, but we shot for a goal of 30% growth this year, 25% growth next year, and then 20% growth the after year. That's our vivid vision. And then you have to ask yourself, how can I add cash programs to increase revenue? What cash programs can I add in to increase top line revenue? Okay. These are questions that you have to think about. Okay. What are the different types of models that you want to do? Okay. Everyone's clinic is a little bit different. Some people are 100% cash. Some people are going to do insurance and just have cash upsells, like how Alter G's are used, you know, how they just charge 20 or $40 every time you use that, or like even needling, where they charge an extra charge of like $20 to that, or Shockwave and stuff like that. You may have an insurance clinic and just have little cash upsells, or you're going to have select insurances and just plus cash services too, where you ditch all the bad insurance carriers and you're just going to have a select few insurances and then cash services. Or there's some clinics out there that just do Medicare only and cash. Or you're going to have your insurance clinic, your standard insurance clinic, but then you're going to have additional VIP cash, high ticket cash programs like golf injury programs, CrossFit injury programs. So you use your insurance model as the low value ladder. Okay. And then you sell higher ticket cash programs that go over for certain niche markets and like stuff like that. So you use insurance still. They go through their treatment plan of care, and then you sell them cash programs after to keep them coming back. So there's different models that you can use, and you as the owner have to think about this. How do I want to incorporate some of these new programs and services to add to my clinic to help increase top line revenue? So you can go through and make a list. What services do I want to add, like Shockwave or needling or Alter G or whatever you want, class 4 laser, photo biomodulation. What services do I want to add to my clinic to increase top line revenue? And what programs do I want to create to increase top line revenue? So directly think about, how do I want to add these cash services to increase sales? Okay. This is an example of my fee schedule here. Again, our evals are $220. Individual sessions are $185. And we have our ortho PT packages here, 6, 12, and 18, and a 24 session package. Those are our basic physical therapy stuff. Then we also created Shockwave packages. And then we also created regen medicine packages, status post stem cell injection, or PRP injections. We're tapping into that market too. With that, I believe that's the future of PT, and we need to be going there, because that's going to be huge. So this is an example of my packages and my fee and our fee schedule. And again, for an example, we invested in a Shockwave program last year. We bought a Shockwave. We created the whole program to help increase top line revenue. Again, Shockwave can be used in multiple different ways, adding it to standard treatments, specialty programs, regen medicine programs. Using Shockwave after a stem cell injection pretty much helps the stem cell party get better. It can help with recovery, DOMS, and like wellness program. Shockwave can even help get rid of cellulite. You can create a cellulite program if you wanted to, and help with performance. So there's different ways that you can use Shockwave. Okay. Regen medicine program, again, after stem cells, PRP injections, and peptides. This is the future, I think, of like physical therapy in an outpatient. You're going to be getting patients doing regen medicine stuff plus PT. And you're going to get patients better, faster, in fewer sessions. Again, what used to take 15 to 18 sessions, people are getting better in 6. This is going to be the future. And I'm not waiting for health insurance companies to like start recognizing this. So we're kind of pivoting there now. So I believe regen medicine is going to be the future. So you got to think about, what kind of programs do you want to launch? And then if you can't think of any, think about what other problems you can help solve for your patients. So after you get them symptom-free, pain-free, what problems are they having after it that you can help solve for them? And then create a cash program for that. So we have Dr. Fabric. He's one of our sports PTs. He used to be on the pro tennis tour. He loves shoulders. So we're going to create a year-long shoulder health program for that. Marianne is one of our pelvic floor specialists. We're going to create a year-long bounce back after baby program that women can subscribe for a whole year after having a baby to make sure that they're good. And you can create an Alive After 55 program, keeping older adults healthy, active, staying active and playing whatever sports they want, pickleball, golf, whatever. A golf performance program. These are some of the examples of what we're launching this year. We're also creating a Pursuit Plus membership, a post physical therapy membership, where patients are going to be able to subscribe for a monthly membership in the 3 different phases. It's going to be Pursuit Plus, the core membership, Optimize, and the VIP. So we're actually going to be launching this probably in Q2, at latest Q3, for patients after physical therapy. We need to start thinking outside the box and stop just thinking medicine, because we need to start thinking of other additional services. Physicians have like the same problem. It's like surgeons only do surgery. So what else can they offer as services beyond just surgery? And once they fix the surgery, most of the time they're pretty much done. So they'll add in other things like supplements or injections and stuff like that. You need to think of other services that you can do to help solve other problems and also generate cash paying programs. So our Pursuit membership, we're going to offer 10% off of treatment packages, priority scheduling, access to a community hub, 24/7 access to it. They're going to get access to our injury prevention protocols for each joint, advanced post-PT programs, 20 to 50% off of supplements, a function health discount, mobility sessions once a month to keep them active and going, access to the podcast interviews where we're interviewing functional medicine physicians, regen medicine physicians, solving other problems with, even beyond physical therapy, but they'll have access to our interviews. Like we're a lot of the functional medicine stuff, solving autoimmune diseases and like stuff like that. So, and we're creating a exclusive network to some of the best specialists around Orlando. So again, value stack it and create a program based off of a problem that some of your patients may be having after physical therapy. So, and then again, it goes back to that Wayne Gretzky quote where the reporter was like, "You're not the fastest, you're not the biggest hockey player of all, but many consider you the greatest hockey player of all time. Why?" And he said something, "Most people skate to where the puck is. I skate to where the puck is going." So you have to ask yourself, what's the future of physical therapy? What's the future of healthcare look like? And start adapting and pivoting towards that. Okay. Shockwave, regen medicine, class 4 laser are helping a lot of these patients get better faster in fewer sessions. The usage of peptides, regen medicine, PRP injections, stem cell injections, it's going to be a game changer in orthopedic. And a lot of surgeons are even fighting back against these regen medicine physicians. And they're like, yeah, you're going to decrease the number of surgeries that I have to do. Functional medicine is coming, solving the root cause of many diseases. Longevity is a track that's huge in medicine now. You're getting people that want to live longer, active, with less disease. Prevention is coming. Medicine 3.0 is coming too, where you're going to be able to prevent disease from happening with heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and cancer. Like medicine 3.0 is coming. AI is coming too. If you're not using AI in your business already, that stuff's coming. Solving gut health issues, and there's a gut health connection between the gut and brain and gut and disease states. So the future of medicine is coming, and we have to pivot towards it. So there was a while there where I interviewed this guy, Jim Milton, about the future of physical therapy. And I still view myself as a new physical therapist, even though I practiced since like 2008. But he said this, he's like, if you new PTs don't stay proactive and adapt, you're going to get crushed. And that stuck with me for like a long time. I was like, wow, we need to adapt and pivot and stay ahead of the game with a lot of, so we don't get crushed by health insurance and stop settling for the bottom of the health care totem pole and stuff like that, where I view ourselves up with the MDs. So next question, and I'm going to finish up here, is how, not just top line revenue, not just think about how can you add these cash services to increase revenue, but how can you add these cash services to increase profits? Okay, this is an example of my per visit breakdown. For evals, we're averaging a 30% pre-tax profit. For individual sessions, we average 19, and packages a 15% pre-tax profit margin. But by adding Shockwave in our regen medicine programs, we were able to increase our pre-tax profit margins to 39%. Okay, so start thinking not just as sales, because sales is a weak stat regarding business. The most important stat is pre-tax profit. So think about how can you add cash services to increase your profit margins. As a general rule, 10% should be your new break-even point. 15% is considered good, and anything above 20% is great. We are in the service industry. In most service industries, pre-tax profit is around 5 to 11%. But these are the standards of what I kind of go by: 10, 15, and 20. Anything over 20% is good. So take these cash-based principles and apply it to your business at your next strategy meeting. You know, normally I'm planning in September, October-ish for the next year. Okay, or every quarter you can meet with your leaders or your strategy team and start thinking of new ideas where you can think of cash-based services that you can offer and how you want to implement it into to your practice, and then start building it out over the next quarter to launch 2 quarters from now. Okay, think about how you can do that. And again, it comes back to your vivid vision and what's your strategy. Decide on business models, you know, which one that works best for your practice, and what cash programs that you want to add, what services you actually want to add, and reverse engineer the numbers to make sure that you can increase revenue and increase profits. Next is your business strategy. Complete that blue ocean strategy drill, update and create a new fee schedule, define your perfect patient, create your value stack, and start launching new niche cash-based programs. And your last one's going to be the marketing. After you design the strategy, you have it ready to execute, you're going to have to design with your marketing team a new strategy to attract those types of patients, or to attract your perfect patient, or to attract golfers or tennis players. Whatever program you ended up creating, there is going to be a marketing strategy that's going to be implemented also. So the last thing is going to be execute. You know, you just don't want to think about it, but one of the things that I see a lot is execution is a big problem, and it may take some time. In Q2 this year, you may just start thinking about how do I want to add cash services to my practice, and then Q3, you start building out the systems and processes, and then in Q4 this year, you create a marketing program to get people to start coming in January 2027. So, and then you're going to start getting more cash paying patients. So thank you, everyone. Finished a little bit over, but we'll have time for Q&A now. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I do believe that the future is bright in physiotherapy. And my question is, do you believe in the future of physiotherapy? Because the future is only as bright as your faith. So I believe in the future of physiotherapy. We're going to do great things. And any other questions? Okay, let me go to some of this. Okay, let me see. Do you have a nurse to do injections? No, I refer out to, I have my top regen medicine physician is in Miami, Dr. Tad DeWalt. He invented the adipose tissue stem cell injection. He's the main guy that I trust. Stem cell has a lot of quackery out there right now. So you have to watch and make sure that, you know, where they're getting the stem cells from, how many are they actually getting in there, stuff like that. So you have to go to a trusted resource with this. I trust Tad. He's one of the best. So I'm reaching out to other regen medicine physicians locally, building like relationships with them. But mainly, I will refer out for that. Dr. Edwin, he is probably the best peptides guy around here. And I'm looking around for like PRPs and like other regen medicine people. So we need to wrap up, maybe continue next Monday. Okay, I'm finishing up now. Thanks for a great presentation. Thank you. Might be a little off track, but any advice for recent PT grads starting their first job at a CAS-based practice? Any specific should I focus on and get extra education? New grads can do CAS-based physical therapy. I just hired my student, and I've hired students before in the past. If you're working at a cash-based practice, that cash-based owner should be the one providing leads for you and doing the marketing. What you need to do is just like, if you have a niche market, you can help them create a program that you could see more of your type of niche patients. Like I hired Jessica, she's a dance expert. I hired Trey, he's a baseball expert. Michael is my tennis guy. And stuff like that. So if you're hiring a new grad, you can recommend creating a new type of program or niche on that, and you can work with them to be able to generate leads for you on that. So you can definitely do it, but the business owner should be responsible for creating leads for you on that. You're not in charge of marketing. Your goal is to treat those patients and make sure that they're taken care of. So, but yes, a new grad can thrive in a cash-based clinic. Thanks for a good presentation. Thanks, Tony. Love the quote, Wayne. It reminds me of Ali's philosophy. I'm going to hit him in the spot, so I will not be where it is. Great. Ginger, good. Okay, Ron, do you use a particular EMR? Use in-house self-developed program? So EMR, in a cash-based thing, we have our minimum documentation standards that our Practice Act says you have to do an eval, treatment plan, and a discharge note. We still document in Google Drive using Word documents, but the back end of the system is all using Go high level with all patient data and intake queue for the new patient paperwork, but all the back end stuff is done through high level. Ron, to use that. Thoughts on concierge PT? I mean, we're pretty much doing concierge PT. Norman, how do you define concierge PT to answer your question? But I mean, we're technically doing concierge PT. I haven't seen someone do a membership model. Is that, if that's what you're referring to? A lot of people talk about it, and the idea is great about having just membership model, period. The question is, are people going to overutilize it, or are they not going to utilize it enough, and then people drop off? So I personally have not figured out that. I haven't seen anyone do it yet. I know people have talked about it, doing it, and just playing like the concierge physician role, where if you charge $150 a month, can you get 3,000 people to join, and they use your services whenever they like need you and stuff like that. So not sure it's a great idea. I haven't seen it executed yet. So any other questions at all? I can see my daughter creeping in right here. She's Robbie. Hey Robbie, how's it going? How long do you have documentation for cash? How long do you have it? I think you have to keep your records on for like 5 to 7 years, I believe. But it's all stored in the cloud. Any other questions? I'll give you guys in like another minute or two. I was thinking 6 or so. Thank you. Yep. I think it's like 5 to 7. Ginger, have a good night. Perfect. If you guys have any questions, let me know. You can always reach out to me. I'll send a couple emails out to you if I have time tonight or tomorrow morning. But I'm here to help. If you guys need me, just let me know if you have any questions at all. And let's change the PT game.
Thank you, Ron. It was awesome presentation, and I'm sure a lot of us got some ideas to start working on. Appreciate your input.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.